Hey, welcome back to the Behind the Well show. Roger Abel with Elias, Randel. Thanksgiving's coming up, my favorite time. You're probably getting ready to wrap up football, aren't you?
Yep, season's about over. So it's a good year, fun year. I didn't get cheered at any of the games, which best you can do as an official is to just get booed by the crowd. So that's par for the course. It was a fun season. I got to work a lot of really good quality football games, and that's all I really care about when I'm there.
So football is one of my favorite parts about Thanksgiving because it's a full day of football, a full day of turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and drinks and food and naps. What's your typical Thanksgiving look like, Elias?
So I cook the turkey for everyone. So I'm an amateur barbecuer / smoker. So every Thanksgiving, I'll do 2 12-pound turkeys. Just they're easier to cook when they're smaller. It's easier to not dry them out. And it's like a week-long process because I got to thaw them out, and then they go in a brine for 2.5 days. And then they sit in the fridge for at least 24 hours. Uncovered, like on my rack with some paper towels.
Just trying to dry it out?
Yeah, it helps dry it out, and then the skin will be crispier when you cook it, so it makes it better. And then the night before they go on the smoker, I set them out on the counter before I go to bed, let them warm up to room temperature, and then like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll put them on my Traeger and cook them till they're 160, I think, in the middle of the breast. I think that's good. Maybe 165. I'll have to look at my recipe. But that's it, and it's the best. So I either like it that way. Well, and last year what I did was I smoked them, and then we fried them right before I served them.
Oh, I bet that was awesome.
So fried them to warm them up.
Like just like a flash fry to get the skin like extra crispy and stuff?
Oh, yeah. It was great.
Yeah, that sounds great. Awesome. I might come for Thanksgiving.
You should.
And fight myself.
You should.
Yeah, we just go to Nelson's. Pick up a hot turkey ready to go. They're awesome. If you've never done it,
it's probably the way. It's probably a lot easier, and it's probably really good.
Listen, if you've never done it,
it's worth it.
Once you do it, you're never going to do it a different way.
Yeah.
Like,
and what do they charge you for?
I don't know, $60-$70 for the bird, ready to go, something like that. I think, maybe more.
What's a I don't even know what a turkey costs.
I don't know. I pay what they charge, but dude, you go in there and they're hot. Like they're all like. They cook them like...
Do you pre-order it or how?
You have to pre-order it.
Yeah.
Go in and you get in this big bag, so it still has like all the drippings, so you can make gravy and do the whole ball of wax. Yeah, I've turned a couple people onto it. You never go back once you start. And it's so easy because that's the hardest part of Thanksgiving. It's not making the mashed potatoes and the sides. It's getting the turkey right.
So what do they have? Do they have a really big rotisserie or something?
I don't know. They do the smoked ones, but these aren't smoked. These are... I don't know. They
probably
good,
have a huge rotisserie.
Yeah.
A way that they can cook them a lot.
It makes me. I actually should go order mine here. That filmed this a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, but I'm excited for this year because my girls have never really been into it. But this year, my daughter discovered mashed potatoes. So Blake told me, she goes, "Dad, I want to have mashed potatoes and gravy." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
She discovered mashed potatoes.
Well, you know
she just realized she liked them, or what?
Yeah. Well, you know how you kids are like super picky and they only want to eat like these certain foods, and then as they get older, they'll try stuff like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." We went to Granite City for dinner the other night, and she's like, "Mom, I want to try the mashed potatoes." I'm like, "Okay," and she's like, "These are really good." But it's just funny how their taste buds kind of change. And you know, Thanksgiving, there's some really cool facts about Thanksgiving. I don't know this, but I'm guessing it's one of the biggest holidays out there, partly because everybody knows they probably have Wednesday off and Friday off after, you know, Black Friday shopping. And I know when you got out of college, did you always come home for Thanksgiving, and then the night before Thanksgiving, you always went out with all your friends from high school and college the night before?
Yeah. So, and I do know from my days bartending that the night before Thanksgiving, I think nationally, I think that's the best night for bars across the country for that reason. Everyone goes back home, and to go out and see everyone else that's back home, that's where you end up going to socialize.
Yeah, we did it at the Irish Democrat. I mean, for years. I feel like I need to go back just for the nostalgia of it.
Sure.
I'm now 45, but I feel like I'm 25.
Hard to
again.
go out when you go to bed at 9 o'clock at night.
How'd you know?
'Cause I go to bed at 8:30. So
My wife got mad at me the other night. She's like, "You're not going to hang out with me?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm tired. I got to go to bed." So let's hit a couple cool financial facts about Thanksgiving. This is the first one shocked me. $1.1 billion. That's what we spend on turkeys. I feel like I should be a turkey farmer. $1.1 billion on turkey. You asked what the cost is, and a 16-pound turkey will cost an average of $20 in 2023.
it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, but
Turkey's still reasonably priced.
you know what though? Here's what's ironic. In 2018, the same turkey was $13. It's almost doubled in cost.
No, it's inflation. That's inflation for you.
But turkey prices the last 12 months are down. So it might be a little less expensive than last year. But yeah, I mean, inflation impacts all this stuff. And, you asked what the cost of the turkey was at Nelson's. Because I haven't hosted Thanksgiving for the last few years, I don't know. Maybe it's 100, 120. I don't know. I'm going to find out. Cool little survey from Personal Capital. 88% of Americans are planning on cutting costs by excluding one dish from their Thanksgiving dinner.
I don't believe that.
Shrinkflation. Well, what they're going to do, instead of you making the turkey, Elias, and all the sides, you're going to say, "Hey, I'm making the turkey. How about everybody bring a side? Or you bring a pie, or, defer that cost to somebody else." But that's kind of like indirect shrinkflation.
It is, but I don't believe that's going to happen. No one, you might plan on cutting back, but you're not going to cut back for, it doesn't matter who it is. If your family's coming over, you're going to have all your favorite foods out. Like that's it, right? Okay, we need to cut back. Well, and then 2 weeks before the thing, right, before Thanksgiving, you're actually thinking about cutting back. You're not going to do that.
No, here's what
People
happens.
aren't cutting back on holidays.
I'm going to tell you what happens to people. They're like, "We're going to cut back." So they go to the grocery store like a week ahead of time, thinking they have everything they need. Okay? Yep, got my list, got all my stuff. I got my turkey, got the potatoes, got the side dishes. And they feel like they cut back. But then the day before Thanksgiving, they realized, "Oh, I don't have pepper, and I forgot to get cranberries." And they go to the grocery store again, and they pick up the alcohol and all the special stuff that they thought they were cutting back on. They end up spending more because they went back to the store twice. I know that happens to people because they think they're prepared, and they're like, "Man, I forgot this." And once you go back to the store, very rarely do you come out with only the item that you went for. And you know what I'm talking about here. Like, "Hey, I went to this store the other day. My wife asked me to get like 3 items. Yep, I had 13 because I thought we needed it all. Of course we didn't, but that's going to happen to people at Thanksgiving who are thinking they're going to cut back. And, for a lot of people go out. Like, they'll just go get a prepared dinner or they'll go out. This actually shocked me. The most expensive Thanksgiving dinner ever. Somebody spent $181,000 on their Thanksgiving dinner.
Why?
Well, okay. I'm reading it right here. Old Homestead Steakhouse in Manhattan is where this happened. It was a turkey, included 2 20-pound range-free turkeys, edible gold flakes. So you know the deal. Anytime you start sprinkling gold flakes on stuff, it costs more. I can't believe it tastes any better.
I've never had an edible gold flake.
Well, have you seen?
Have you? I've never had it.
No, because why? I wouldn't spend the money on it. It sounds ridiculous.
Do you think it tastes good?
I don't think it tastes like anything.
Edible metal?
I mean, I hope it's not like aluminum and makes my fillings hurt when I chew on it. But check this out. The turkeys were served along with seafood bread stuffing. So, what's seafood stuffing cost? Candied sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and cranberry sauce. Dessert were pies, coconut custard, and it included Cristal champagne. So, they're drinking the best of the best champagne.
Okay, there were some other perks, too, for the 180. This makes more sense now.
Yeah, and when you read the last one, those who decided to cash out for this luxurious dinner also received 4 tickets to the Super Bowl in Miami, 2 tickets to The Voice, 2 iPhone 11 Pro Maxes, and a Sea Dream Yacht Club cruise for 2 and more. So The food was a small portion of this. I mean, what are Super Bowl tickets? $20,000 a ticket?
Probably.
That's
what I was wondering. How many people for $180,000 worth of food? How many people do you invite to that? But there's all this other stuff. So
but I had gold flakes, so, maybe it tastes better. I don't know. But $181,000 someone spent for a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm hoping mine's $181, which it won't be, but I bet a lot of people probably come up with a good budget for Thanksgiving. And if you don't have a budget, it probably makes sense to figure out what you want to spend. I know in our household, the thing that can get out of control is the alcohol bill. When people come over, we try to have what everybody kind of likes to drink. So one person likes one kind of beer, one kind of wine, we'll go get it. So it ends up being a lot of different stuff, which adds up to a large bill.
Money. Yep. I'm sure that goes over to good use, though, throughout the holiday season.
I don't think it's going to go to waste.
So another thing we were going to do for the Thanksgiving episode today is talk about the top 5 Googled personal finance questions and then have an answer for them. So, the internet, that's really where we turn for information, and I catch myself sometimes I think I'm doing research. I think research is a little more involved than just typing into Google, but a lot of times Google can get you to an answer you're looking for on something. So what are the top 5 most Google searched personal finance question? Number 1, what is a good credit score? So that's the number 1 most searched thing on Google when it comes to personal finance. It's really not surprising because a credit score is, basically it's something you need to borrow money, right? So a lot of people, especially people typically are better spenders than they are savers, so we know that. So knowing what your credit score is important to a lot of people, and whether you're going to buy a home, buy a car, start renting an apartment, apply for a credit card, student loan, personal loan, just whatever it may be, that's really the start is what is your credit score. And I think just real quick, I'll go through what the ranges are and what they mean. So 300 to 499 is very poor. 500 to 600 poor, 601 to 660 fair, and then good credit starts at 661 to 780, and anything over 780 would be considered an excellent score.
So let me give you my take on this.
Yeah.
Credit, people think it's only for borrowing. It's not. Insurance bases premiums off your credit score. People don't know that. It doesn't count as a hard credit pull. So if you go apply for insurance, they're not pulling your credit, but they have a way to look at your score. And your premiums on insurance can adjust based upon your credit score because the insurance companies looks at it as a way to say, if your credit's 780 or 820, are you more or less likely to file a claim than a person whose credit score is 400?
You're less likely.
You're not going to. Like my auto deductible is like $1,000. If I got in an accident for $1,200, I'm not going to claim on insurance. I'm not going to spend $1,000 for a $200 benefit
and have
to raise
my
premium. Yeah,
right, and have
it's going to have to be something significant. So that's why they use that. Generally, when I think of good credit, I think of, I'd say above average credit. I think of 720. And here's why. Most auto rates get preferential rates at 720. On your mortgage, though, I know this because I was talking with a banker friend of mine the other day, and someone had told him what they thought their credit score was. Like, it's 770. Well, it came back and it was 7030. Well, it affected their mortgage rate by 0.25%. So mortgage rates
730 compared to 770.
Yeah, so mortgage rates 760 is considered like kind of the top tier for most mortgage rates.
Huh.
So if you're out there thinking about cars and mortgages, 760 is where you want to be pressing. Doesn't mean you're going to get a bad rate, right? But it's between 8% and 7.75. Is it really that meaningful? Probably not. No. But that's kind of where I think of credit scores. I think if you're 720 or above, that's pretty darn good. Obviously you want to be, as high as you can be. And there's a lot of factors that kind of go into how that credit score's judged, Elias.
Yeah, the factors, and it's a few things here. Payment history makes up 35%. The amount you owe makes up 30%. The length of credit history makes up 15%. New credit, 10%, and credit mix, 10%. So those are really, through those weighted areas, like payment history is 35%. Well, one of the best ways to have a good credit score is to always pay your bills on time.
Do you know what one 30-day past due event does to your credit?
Don't know.
60 points minimum.
60 points
60 points.
for one. It could be your first one ever. Doesn't matter.
Nope. 60 points. So I have one of those credit analyzer things that I get to play with, and you can put in there like what different credit events do to your overall score.
Interesting.
But yeah, a 30-day late, 60 points in your credit. Doesn't matter if it's $100 bill at the hospital. And what got me thinking a little bit about this, it's ironic that we're doing this in our episode today. I was watching a loan officer out of Missouri, and it was a YouTube I was watching. It was about buying farmland and some different stuff. And he said, he looks at credit score when he underwrites, but he actually looks at overall payment history more. So he'll go back and say, okay, your credit score is 660. What's on your regular recurring stuff? Like if you have a home payment, if you have a car, how many times are you late on that stuff? He's like, if it's 0, I'm going to probably give the person the benefit of the doubt if they had one medical bill they were 31 days late on. So there's some different things that go into it when you actually go to get underwritten. There's another thing people don't really realize about their credit score, Elias, and what affects part of it. How many inquiries you have.
Because that means you're looking for credit, right?
Yeah. So every time you're at the store and they say, hey, do you want to save $150 today and apply for the Shields card?
Yes.
No. That's an
inquiry. No. I want to say yes.
If you have more than 2 inquiries in 24 months, you go from excellent to good. 2. Because you're applying for a fair amount of credit.
You know what bothers me every time we talk about credit scores and credit cards, and then you use that Shields example? My favorite to-go coffee cup that I have is from Shields because I signed up for a credit card.
Of course you did.
But it doesn't make me like that coffee cup any less. I still really love it, and I use it all the time.
Okay, this is a quiz for you. This is in the outline. Payment history, okay? So how long you've had credit. How many years do you have to have credit to get an excellent rating on credit history?
I would say at least probably 15.
25.
It's 25 years before you can even move to excellent.
Yep. I know that because I have the credit analyzer and I have 23 years of credit history. And I'm, no late payments ever, but 23 years of credit history, I can't move to excellent until I have 25.
Yeah, right. So I'm sure I only have 10 to, maybe 13. 13, 14 would be the absolute most I probably have.
Yeah, I have my
credit history at this time because I think I had a credit card my last year of college. Yeah. And I bought a house, I think, when I was 23, so I know that's for sure when it all started.
So, Elias, there's 3 kind of primary ways that you and I discuss how we get people to get a better credit score. If you want to kind of elaborate on what those 3 ways are.
Yeah, so, if you're in a spot where you either want to or need to improve your credit score, so the number one thing is payment history and being paid on time all the time. So, like you just mentioned, if you're one beyond 30-day late payment is 60 points right there. So just never having those is a really good strategy. Paying down the debt that you do have. So the other biggest portion of it is the amounts you owe. So I'm sure it's looking at amount owed versus amount borrowed or something like that. So just paying off debt. On our show, we talk about how there's two ways: debt avalanche, highest interest rate to lowest. Debt snowball is much more common, much more popular. I would argue much more effective. Just start with the smallest one, get it knocked out, snowball that into the next one. And then don't open too many accounts at once. I think this has to do with something we were talking about, those credit inquiries. So, when you are at a store you like and they say, hey, if you open a credit card, you get this free coffee cup, maybe you shouldn't do that. I've done that. I hope I learned my lesson. I really like free coffee cups, but we'll see. I think I learned my lesson. I probably won't ever do that again.
Every inquiry dings your credit 5 points. So
if you go out and you get 5 new mugs, 25
let's not even
points.
think about it. You refinanced your house, 5 points.
Yep.
You went and bought a car, 5 points. If you took financing for it. You go apply for 2 of the credit cards when you're out on Black Friday, another 10 points. That's 20 points right there.
Yep.
You bought a cell phone. I think they pull credit if you're buying a cell phone you finance if you don't write the check.
Really? So I've probably been dinged a few times this year because I got a new phone.
It'll bounce back.
Car. Yeah.
But point is, you just don't want many inquiries. There's a difference between inquiries and hard inquiries. Like hard inquiries means they actually pulled your credit. Your insurance isn't a hard inquiry. But this kind of leads into the second most Googled question. This question averages 21,000 searches per month.
That's a lot.
In perspective, though, what is a good credit score? Averaged 160,000 searches per month.
So not even close.
So I think the good news with this is probably something we want to stay away from anyway. But the most Googled question, second most Googled question was, how many credit cards should I have? Before you read this, what do you think? What's your personal? Yeah.
Well, the answer to should is probably 0. You probably shouldn't have any credit cards.
So here's my answer. Depends on your relationship with money. Meaning if you're a person who's going to have a credit card and you can't be responsible with it, you should have 0 or maybe 1.
Can you be an adult with your credit card? That's a good question to ask.
Can you be responsible with this, or are you just going to go get crazy and get in trouble? Okay. If you're a responsible person, I actually think the answer is 2.
2. How did you arrive at 2?
Well, everybody needs 1. Like most people are going to need 1. It's hard to do a lot of things without a credit card. You do a debit card. That's reasonable, but it's the same thing as a credit card, right?
Yeah.
If you're using your credit card the same fashion as debit, you could do that. So let's say you have a debit card, then you only need 1 other card. And here's why. What happens if you lose it? When I go on vacation, I take 3 cards with me in 3 different locations.
3 cards, and what do you mean 3 different locations?
Keep 1 in my carry-on, 1 in my suitcase, 1 in my wallet.
Wow, you're prepared.
Well, if I lose one,
if I lost my wallet, I'd just be out.
What are you going to do if you lose your wallet on vacation? You have nowhere to get home. No way to get home.
Beg my wife to use hers.
Remember, hey, you know what? The good news is we found out you can get on an airplane without a driver's license. Remember that stunt I pulled about a year ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So no more than 2. And that includes your debit card. So debit card, credit card, that's good. That's your backup. The credit card's the backup. You have a debit card. But you should only be using that credit card for very specific things, right? Okay, I'm booking travel. I don't put my debit card into the computer. I know people out there will tell you the protection's the same as a credit card. No, it's not. I've had credit card numbers stolen. I've had my debit card number stolen. Guess which one's significantly easier to take care of the problem?
When your credit card gets robbed.
My bank, I love my bank. They're great. I had to prove to them I didn't charge it.
The credit card company just takes your word for it over the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
2 different things. And you'll unwind it. One's a lot more work. So I don't think you need more than one debit card, one credit card. Part of the reason is, here's what happens if people have multiple credit cards, 5, 6 credit cards. They put $800 on one. Well, I only owe $800 on that one. And then, I'll use a different one. I only owe $600 on this one. Pretty soon they owe $5,000 or $6,000. So you only need one. We kind of have that motto, keep things simple. Keep that simple too.
Yeah, keep it simple and pay off the balance. Don't
You know what's
carry
really
credit
easy to
card
do?
balance.
Here's what you do. If you have a credit card, you just go in and set the default payment method, the auto pay balance in full. And you pay it the day after you get your paycheck. That's an option. Mine's set to pay balance in full. Or I pay it, I always like to pay mine weekly. The business one's a lot easier to pay weekly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just paying weekly. So that brings us to the next most Googled question. What is compound interest? And that question gets 15,000 searches per month. So it's really, so what compound interest is, simply put, it's earning interest on the money you have invested, and then also earning interest on the money you had invested, plus the interest that you've earned previously. So here's an easy example. You put $100 into an account, it makes 5%. So that's an additional $5. The next year, your $105 makes 5% again. Well, that would be $5.25. So now you have $110.25. And then I think you can see how that would continue to grow. And, we talk about compound interest a lot with people's investment portfolios because that is how your stock portfolio would work. If you have, like in this example, you have $100, you make 5%. That's your new balance. You make 5% on top of that. And I think Warren Buffett's actually quoted as saying compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world or something like that. And it's really how over time, really through being a good investor, having the right behavior, owning a diversified portfolio, compound interest is really how people end up with $1 million in their 401k or $2 or even $3 million in their 401k in their investment accounts at some time in their life. But what is compound interest is the third most Googled personal finance question out there.
This one's good. How to start investing. This averages 8,800 searches a month. If someone said, how do I start investing? The way I'd go about it, number one is, do you have a 401k at work? That's the easiest possible way to do it. And arguably one of the most effective because it's coming out of your paycheck before anything happens. Most people, if they never get the money, they don't realize they have the money. Right? If your tax rate went up 3% and they automatically took it from your paycheck, are you going to miss it? Maybe, but it wasn't optional. Should view your 401k the same thing. This is the 3% tax that the IRS just levied on me. This is my 3% retirement tax. So 401k is the easiest way to get started. If you haven't started, just start now. The second thing, if you don't have a 401k, contact a financial professional. Contact somebody to help you. Hey, how do I get started? Clearly, if you're Googling how to get started investing, you're not a do-it-yourselfer.
Hold on a second. What?
I mean, seriously, if that crosses your mind that I'm going to do this myself, but you have to Google how to get started, just contact a professional. There's a lot of people out there that'll help you and do a good job for you.
You know what? I've never thought of it. I've never thought of it that way.
If you have to
but that is true. Like, I know when I started my first investing account, I didn't Google how to start. I went to the different platforms, Fidelity, Schwab, and I started reading the differences and what the cost. Right, I just started picking where am I going to do this.
Yeah. I mean, savings is as simple. I mean, investing is as simple as going to your bank and buying a CD. Like, that's investing. Investing is putting your money into something that's going to earn a rate of return. So could be that. And, as your income grows, once you start, just keep increasing it. We always talk about if you get a pay raise, let's say you get a 4% pay raise. Okay, well, slide 2% in more into retirement and keep 2 for yourself. You got a pay raise and you got a pay raise in the future too. So how to start investing, easiest thing to do, go to your 401k, get that set up. If not, contact a professional to help you do this.
That is all good, prudent advice there. So number 5, most Googled question. I was a little surprised on this one. It's probably something I take for granted, but what is a checking account? And that gets about 8,000 searches every month. What is a checking account? So really a checking account, and this is just the way I think of it. The checking account is there to transact business. So it's where all the bills get paid every month or every week, however you do it. And that's where, that's where the grocery store money's coming from. That's where the gas money's coming from. But the checking account is really just, to me, it's the money monthly coming in, going out, coming in, going out. The savings account to me is the money above the checking account to just operate the transactions every month. So then, the checking account has a balance we like to have. Well, then above that, then it's like, okay, this is emergency fund money in a savings account. It's readily available. It's liquid. And then you just kind of go from there. But a checking account is, I think the simplest way to state it is the account that you're going to transact most of your business in.
That shocks me. People don't know. I'm guessing a lot of that has to be young individuals who are in high school. And when I saw that one, I'm like, I'm always trying to figure out who's asking it. Adults aren't asking this. This is 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are getting ready to go get on their own. And someone said, you need a checking account. They're going, well, what is that? Because mom and dad gave them a debit card. They don't really realize, or they have a credit card. They don't really realize where the money's coming from.
It'd be an assumption, but I would assume these 8,000 searches a month, a lot of it is
young people.
First-time job, right? 16.
Well,
just started cooking pizzas at the local pizza place.
Ironic. Check it out. 8,800 people are searching a month how to start investing. 7,800 are searching what's a checking account.
Yeah, could be a lot of the same people.
I'll bet there's a lot of overlap. That was good insight. Here's what's ironic, though. Why is it called a checking account?
That's what it's always been called.
Because
no one uses checks anymore.
Well, I'd still do. But I guarantee people under 25 don't.
No. There's no high schoolers using their checkbook.
All right, there's a few others that round out the list. We're not going to go into depth on them, but I think these are just a couple more to throw out there. When are student loans due? Well, I think that's probably being searched because, we had a moratorium on student loans, didn't have to pay them. People want to know what's going on. What's overdraft protection? How much income do you need to file taxes? How do personal loans work? A lot of these things I feel like are first time young people trying to figure this out. And this is where they get their information. With that said, I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving. If anybody needs any help with any of their financial stuff, you can go to btwellshow.com. Elias or I'd be happy to help you, or one of our other advisors in the office. You have any closing remarks for today?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy all the food and the football. It should be a fun holiday.
Hey, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to follow us on social, Facebook, X. Did I miss one? YouTube.
LinkedIn. I don't know.
Yeah,
YouTube.
we're out there on everything, but follow us on social. Thanks everyone. Thanks for listening.